Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. So, patch 7.2.5 has just came out, and it's actually brought a hell of a lot of unexpected stuff, some of which is actually really major. Now, there also have been some class changes, a slight nerf to the Nighthold to compensate for sets and trinkets being nerfed, and then loads of PvP class balancing, but let's get into the more important sort of undocumented stuff that we didn't see coming. First of all, artifact knowledge is changing quite massively. It's going to be operating much faster. They are basically making artifact knowledge not really matter in a way. So basically, work orders past your 26th are going to take 4 hours to research, which is a massive increase in speed for new characters, and it's likely intended to bridge that gap between a 100,000 multiplier at 26 and a 4 million multiplier at 40. Now, do remember that you can still directly purchase your first 25 ranks of artifact knowledge for 500 order hold resources apiece. Now, for those of us with, we've got our main that's AK rank 40, we can simply throw a compendium over to any of our alts, which will instantly get them up to 35, and then 20 hours of work orders will get them to rank 40 with a 4 million multiplier, which really trivializes most of the AP system. I think this is fantastic because I think the system is really at the stage where it just adds barriers to gameplay without really including any sort of fun, like, interesting gameplay or journey into actually sort of, getting your thing. You really just do a work order. It's kind of dull. Now, this actually has not been implemented yet. It's going to be part of a hotfix that comes out within the next few days. I have seen some people say that it cheapens the work they put into getting artifact rank 40, or artifact knowledge rank 40, but honestly, I just don't see AK rank 40 as something to be proud of. It takes no skill to get, no dedication. It's really just a matter of logging in every few days or using the Legion companion app, which I don't think is that engaging. I definitely do like the idea of these constant progression systems at max level in the endgame, but I hope that future ones manage to be a bit less convoluted and unintuitive. Okay, also on the topic of artifact power, they have basically replaced the entire raid artifact power system with a new one. So LFR bosses will no longer drop AP tokens. Instead, you're just going to get a chunk of AP for completing each wing, and that's once per week per wing. Over to the pre-made raiding front, they now have made it so that bosses have a 100% drop rate item that you can get once per week per boss. And then they've also made it so that the current raid will drop the most artifact power and then older raids will drop less. Now, overall, these do seem fair enough. It's a definite reduction in RNG, so I think that'll probably go down well with people. Making the older raids give you a little bit less overall, I think, makes sense. It's easier content, so I don't think people should feel overly pressured into re-clearing it weekly, especially when you remember that Tomb of Sargeras is a whole new tier, whereas Nighthold was just a continuation of the Emerald Nightmare tier. Okay, we'll move on to one that is a little bit less massive, but I think is very welcome. Razor Gore has been changed. So basically, Razor Gore's Destroy Egg ability is now an instant cast, so if you are going to be soloing BWL, well, this essentially trivializes the fight. It allows you to disregard some of the current best practices for soloing, which in this case, I think is okay because it was kind of just a fiddly annoying mess. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good one. Now, Blitz Room has also been changed in the patch. It was originally going to have an upgrade cap of 885, but they have since changed that to 900. The base item level for crafted gear is now 850, and if any crafted gear is currently below 850 and then has an Obliterum applied to it, it will become item level 855 with 1 out of 10 Obliterum as its upgrade. Now, this is an interesting change for two reasons. First, 850 is the same eye level as the Dauntless gear, unupgraded. This means that the crafted stuff, well, on top of the fact that crafted stuff is usually quite cheap, it means that it's quite competitive against the Dauntless gear, so it's a pretty good way to jumpstart an alt. And then going up to item level 900 is pretty major. Crafted gear, of course, could have perfect stats for your spec, which means that for some specs, this is going to be even more powerful than some normal or heroic tomb gear. So that's an odd one to think about. Now, Obliterum prices have, of course, spiked from 650 gold to almost 2,500 on my server, almost getting near some Legion launch prices. Even at that, though, I think, say if it's 25,000 gold for a near-perfect bit of gear, I think that's actually a pretty okay deal when you think about how much BOEs currently go for. Now, Champion AP is another thing. Now, this isn't major, but I think it ticked some people off. The equipment that causes your champions to give you an AP item when you complete a world quest now has some RNG. The drop rate is 20%, but the AP has supposedly been increased by 5 times. Now, currently it's not working, right? The items only give you 800,000 AP, so on average we're looking at a 20% overall nerf to the AP gains from this method, but honestly, I thought it was pretty silly to do this, and it just seems to have been kind of annoying with the RNG thing. I have to wonder, do Blizzard think that it makes it more exciting just having, you know, the reward be a bit bigger but a 20% drop rate? It just seems like a more frustrating means to the same end to me. That said, I do see the argument that it does reduce the bag space requirements, so I guess that's something. I'm not really sure what to think about this, but overall, it's a pretty minor thing, so it's not worth getting too mad over. Marks of Honor have also been changed. Essentially, they can now be turned in for Seals of Broken Fate. This is actually fantastic for the PvP players. They're often drowning in the things, assuming they don't have anything else to do, or any other transmog gear to buy with them. So your first Seal of Broken Fate will cause 5 marks, the next one will cost 10, and the third one will cost 15. Of course, the PvP people can re-roll their weekly PvP thing using one of these, so it's nice that you can earn a seal via doing PvP content. For the Hunters, we can now tame the Lost Emberspit Scorpion, which is in the Molten Front, so yeah, that's certainly a nice little thing thrown in for the Hunters. Now, there's also Order Hall Mission Rep. This has been somewhat changed. The item that you get for completing the bonus sort of thing for the Order Hall mission gives you 1500 rep, which is an increase from the 7.2 values. That said, the Nightfall and Legionfall ones only give you 750, but overall, it's an increase to your rep gains, and certainly for alts, it will help you get a little bit more rep, and it'll also help you work towards those Paragon reputation crates a little bit faster as well. We also have had a bit of a change to Echoes of Battle. It's actually a net buff, so they've buffed the Echoes of Battle and Domination sort of system overall. Now, this is the currency gained from melting down PvP gear and elite PvP gear in the Obliterum Forge. They can be used to purchase tokens, which will roll you a slot-specific PvP item for the current season. Now, the tokens now cost 100 Echoes of Battle, and the Gladiator gear now melts into 15 Echoes, which is up from 10. Overall, it is an increase to the rate at which you can purchase those tokens. They've also made it so that relics can be melted down in the Obliterum Forge, and the combatant gear can also be melted down, but it only gives you 1 Echo of Battle, so it really isn't a lot. But overall, this does mean slightly more PvP gear per week for the PvP players. We've also got something which is nice for the warriors, so our sky jump has basically been changed. Now, after having loads of disconnect problems, then eventually Blizzard disabled the whole animation, it looks like they have finally solved the warrior class Order Hall teleport. We now get a really cool animation as we fall down, and yeah, it's not major, but it's certainly nice to have a little bit more flair going on there, because it's kind of core to what the Legion Warrior even sort of feels like. But really, that is most of the important stuff going on here. There is an ongoing sort of Reddit thread, which is a compilation of these undocumented things that the community's putting together over on Reddit, so you can check that out for some of the more esoteric stuff. Mostly, though, I think this is really good stuff, some good tweaks, some good changes, and certainly looking at those class balance changes, I think the monks are going to feel very happy, because it was not looking good for them based on the PTR. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.